So the Lakers season just ended, and I don't want to be too hyperbolic here. I don't want to be too dramatic, but it's not as simple as we were thinking it was going to be a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, we probably all thought, man, you got Luka, you got Bron, you got Austin. All you got to do is get a big next year, and they're going to be great. Now, some people might still believe that, but I think this playoff run showed us a lot more questions about how good this team can be with Luka and Bron. But this playoff run really exposed a lot. Now, Minnesota was the perfect team to expose a lot of those weaknesses for sure, but I feel like we've seen a lot of the push and pull between the way Luka wants to play and the way LeBron wants to play and the way they had to play to make it work this year. Now, again, what will the roster look like next year? We don't really know. We could talk about that. But something that was very indicative of this was Jackson Hayes. Now, Jackson Hayes was bad in this series. He ends up not playing at all in Game 5. But I went to look up Jackson Hayes, Luka Donic on the court together this year with LeBron off the court. They played 151 minutes in 23 games and had a net rating of 21.8. Now, is that a big sample size? No. But we know proof of concept. Luka Donic, roller to the rim, works out. The Lakers in this series played 0 minutes with Jackson and Luka on the court without LeBron on the court. To me, that's coaching. That's coaching. Obviously, Jackson's not going to play a lot and LeBron's going to play a lot. But in those minutes where LeBron is off the court, why not have a roller to the rim with Luka? And then what I mean by them not wanting to play a certain way is LeBron in those lineups with Jackson and Luka, LeBron has to be a spacer. LeBron has to be a connector. But LeBron is going to get the ball and he's going to stop because he's LeBron James, and rightfully so. I'm not really blaming anybody for this. And you look across at Minnesota, this is going to be the most disrespectful thing I have ever said. But it's kind of similar to Julius Randle. And shout out to Julius for getting a win here and balling out in the series. But earlier in the year, we seen the offense for Minnesota really come to a complete stop when Julius Randle got the ball. And this really only works in Minnesota if Julius Randle is making quick decisions, if he's playing extremely hard, if he's crashing the boards, if he's, playing amazing defense on the perimeter, right? Earlier this year, Minnesota fans wanted Randle benched. Everyone was worried about how he would play in this scenario, if the game was going to be moving too fast for him. And I'm not ever saying the game was moving too fast for LeBron. And I don't have to explain to you guys. I understand LeBron James is not Julius Randle, but you guys get what I'm saying. With Luka, who's obviously a different player than Ant, but similarly, when Luka gets off the ball, it has to be quick, be decisive, or get it back to Luka in certain situations, and that's just not LeBron at this state in his career. And I don't blame LeBron. I just find it fascinating because building around Luka might not be as simple as we thought it would be, or building around Luka and LeBron. Building around Luka is fairly simple. And to be fair, LeBron was the best Laker in this series, but I'm talking about going forward and how you build around Luka Doncic. And this is why someone like Kyrie, I won't say is underrated, but I'll say his job, the difficulty of his job is underrated. Being someone that can play with a LeBron or play with a Luka and have that confidence, but also have that urgency to make split-second decisions off the catch, to be ready to make a play off the catch immediately. How many times did we watch either LeBron pass it to Luka or Luka pass it to LeBron and the play just stops? On both sides, the play just stops because neither one of them are used to being in that position. We just seen Luka play with Lively and Gafford. We just seen LeBron play with AD. They're not used to being on the other side of that. And in the case of LeBron, and something I kept pointing out from the beginning of the series, my first video on this series was LeBron versus Gobert, because I felt like LeBron was going to get the ball or it was going to be a switch, and he was not going to be able to create enough off the dribble to make it work for the Lakers offense. And we've seen that a lot in this series where, okay, we're kicking the ball to LeBron and he has Julius Randle in front of him. Okay, we need you to go make a play now. And he just couldn't do it consistently. Or he would take forever to get into his move and nothing would come of that possession. And same thing with Austin too, by the way. But Austin, I don't know, it's a little bit different. If I was the Lakers, I wouldn't overreact to this Austin series. I still think Austin has, if there's no LeBron next year, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if there is no LeBron, I could still see Austin being an all-star level player. Let's not forget what Austin was doing to close out this year, but it was a struggle this year, or this series, for him, which brings me to this offseason where Austin is eligible for an extension. Now he has next year and then a player option on the year after, which he's probably going to decline. But right now, this summer, he is eligible for an extension. But I don't think he's actually going to sign it because the Lakers can only offer him up to 4 years, $90 million, and he's going to be able to get more than that if he waits it out. But for that reason, I actually think it's more likely he stays on the team. Like if he was making 25 million, 30 million, it'd be easier to find a deal that was actually worth it. But I don't think you're going to find a player of Austin's caliber on a deal like he's on right now. So I think Austin is here to stay the next couple years. But when you look at this team, and there's a reason the LeBron trade rumors were kind of there earlier this season, especially right after they made the Luka deal. Everybody was like, is LeBron getting moved next? Is LeBron getting moved next? The Warriors want LeBron, right? Because that would have made sense. Now, I'm not saying they should have done it. It's LeBron James. Maybe you owe that to him, right? Everyone thought this team was a contender a couple weeks ago. Let's not forget that, by the way. But you could have traded LeBron, let's say, to the Warriors and got Kuminga, got Wiggins, got multiple first-round picks. I don't know if that's a good deal, but you'd be in a much better position to build around Luka going forward in terms of assets. And you'd have a very good 3-and-D wing on an affordable deal in Wiggins, right? Not saying that's the greatest deal, but you would have a lot more to build toward the future of Luka in LA. And people are going to say immediately, well, everyone's going to want to go play with Luka in LA. One, I'm not sure that's true, right? If you're a star player, I'm not sure you look at Luka and say, I want to go play with that. I don't know. Like, if you're a player that thinks of yourself as someone that can do a lot off the dribble, do you want to go play with Luka? A name I've been thinking about a lot in terms of just thinking about the Lakers are going to go out there and get Luka a co-star when LeBron's done. A name I've been thinking about is Jaylen Brown. I could see that happening. I don't know why. I could just see it happening. But just overall, if you're an all-star player that wants to get in your bag, do you want to do that next to Luka? Again, everybody's not Kyrie. Everybody's not efficient and concise and can get their game off with 1-2 dribbles like Kyrie can. And what I was saying earlier about LeBron needing to be more decisive off ball next to Luka, not a lot of star players are signing up for that. I wouldn't think. And it also doesn't feel like Luka has a lot of friends around the NBA besides Jokic. We can all talk about that fantasy, but I don't think Luka is very friendly with a lot of guys around the league. Maybe I'm wrong in that. You know who would have fit the bill of being decisive? Devin Booker. And I made a video earlier this year on this exact topic with Devin Booker. I know it's funny considering their beef, but I made a video titled, I think it was titled, What Makes Devin Booker Special? And it was that exact thing. Devin Booker is the master at attacking closeouts, right? You look at Devin Booker's three-point percentage for his career, you would think he's like this miraculous shooter, right? Devin Booker is a league average shooter. That's not me dissing him, by the way. Like, statistically, he is a league average shooter. You look at guys like Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, Donovan Mitchell, CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, all shoot better from three than Devin Booker. You know what's crazy? I just went back and watched that video, and in that video, I also pointed out Jaylen Brown as a player that does this very well. Funny enough, those are the two guys I'm saying I would like to see next to Luka, but I'm not sure I want to see Luka, Book, and Austin. I'm getting way too ahead of myself. I'm just thinking about the potential stars to put next to Luka. I really like Devin Booker as an idea. But the Lakers don't really have all that many assets, which is why I think they rescinded that trade for Mark Williams, and the league really bailed them out because Mark Williams in this series is probably playing 15 minutes per night. You got the injury concerns, and you would have gave up your first-round pick in Dalton Connect, who I think is going to be pretty good. And they gave up, what, 2 first-round picks for Dalton and 2 first-round picks for Mark Williams? I forget what it was, but whatever it was going to be an overpay for Mark Williams. But you look at this team going forward and the limited assets they have, the limited young players they have besides Austin. I think Rui has some value around the league, but why would you be trading Rui? And then I think something Laker fans aren't really taking into consideration is free agency isn't really a thing like it used to be. Obviously the Lakers have got a lot of stars in trades, including Luka Donic, right? But you look at the NBA and all the big moves that have happened, right? Luka was a trade. Damian Lillard going to Milwaukee was a trade. Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors was a trade. Kevin Durant going to Phoenix was a trade. The last like straight up big free agency move was LeBron going to LA and Kawhi going to LA. Everything else in recent memory has been a big trade. Obviously KD going to Golden State as well. But teams aren't letting guys get to free agency anymore. They're kind of making that decision, and again, the guys can say, I only want to go to LA. Well, we've seen Damian Lillard, franchise legend, I only want to go to Miami. You know what, we're sending you to Milwaukee. Jimmy Butler got you to 2 finals, send me to Phoenix. No, we're sending you to Golden State. And you know a name I forgot because he was that bad this year? Paul George was a free agent this year and he did move teams, so I guess we can count that one as a big deal. If we just look at free agency this year, LeBron can opt out and be a free agent. Kyrie can opt out, be a free agent. James Harden could opt out, be a free agent. Chris Middleton could opt out. All those guys are now opting out besides maybe LeBron, right? Julius Randle has a player option. Considering what just happened, Minnesota is probably going to bring him back. But if we look at like just straight up free agents, the best guys are Brook Lopez, Clint Capella, Bruce Brown, Miles Turner. We don't really live in a world where star players just hit free agency like that. So the idea that, oh, everyone's just going to want to come to the Lakers, well, we'll see. We'll see if they can force their way like AD did. But also the thing about having Luka, similar to having LeBron, well, prime LeBron, is you don't need that much. You don't need that much. So maybe they shouldn't overthink it and just put competent players around Luka that can play defense. But again, the problem is when you think about moves this summer to make to fit around Luka, those players aren't going to be fitting around LeBron. In fact, some of them might be replacing LeBron. Like a name I had in mind, a player that is probably going to be available this summer, Miles Bridges. Which is funny because the Mavs traded for PJ Washington, but Miles Bridges, an elite roller, someone that's going to shoot threes, going to get boards, would kind of play a similar role to Rui, I guess, but Rui's not really a roller like that, even though we've seen him get a poster on Gobert in Game 5, but you get what I'm saying. I think Miles Bridges is a player you can get pretty cheap. He's on a deal that's going to be making, what, $25 million in the next 3 years per, which is fine. In today's NBA, that's not a high number. But I'm kind of wondering, are the Lakers going to be buyers or sellers here? Like Miles Bridges would be, I think, a good, I don't want to say buy low because you'd probably have to give up a first, but is that the type of move you want to be making, right? Let's say you have to give up DFS, Gabe Vincent, that makes the money work. And let's say a first round pick in 3 seconds. Let's just say that's what it is. Is that the type of move you want to be making? Or do you want to be making the move where you trade DFS and you get a low first round pick or multiple seconds, 3 seconds, like the Lakers traded 3 seconds for DFS? Do you want to be making moves like that? Because the Lakers do have some guys that veteran championship teams might be willing to buy on. Like I just said, DFS, Gabe Vincent, Rui's kind of a separate category that you'd probably be trying to save Rui for a bigger deal. But if we just look at Rui, DFS, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, that is $56 million in expiring deals next season. So there's a lot you could do with that. Like I said, you could pawn them off separately and try to recoup your draft assets, or package them together for a middling move like a Miles Bridges, or package Rui, DFS, and Gabe Vincent with some first round picks and try to go get a star. I don't know who that star would be, but just for example, I know the Lakers don't want this player, but I think that's the type of package that could get you a Ja Morant. Rui, DFS, Gabe, multiple first round picks. That is a lot for a team that is trying to win right now and already has a core infrastructure. But I would try to keep Rui and package 2 of the other guys and try to give up as few picks as possible. But if I could just trade DFS and Gabe Vincent in the first for Miles Bridges or an Andrew Wiggins type, I would try to make a small move like that while keeping Rui. You keep you keep Vandal, you keep you still got Kleber, $11 million, so you still have potential to make a much bigger deal. But I would make a small deal like that right now. But I don't know. I don't know how you want to build around Luka. I don't know if you want to take a step back to take a step forward. And how does that affect LeBron James? I don't know. It's a fascinating situation, one we've never really seen before. Another name just to put out there, because I know people are going to be saying this name, who I think is a similar, not a big swing, but a Andrew Wiggins, Miles Bridges level of a swing, Nick Claxton. Give Luka a real lob threat, just throwing it out there. I don't know what the Lakers are going to do. I don't know what LeBron's gonna do. Is LeBron gonna retire? Probably not. It didn't sound like he was gonna retire, but we'll see. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Please like, comment, subscribe. It will mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.